Hello, Facebook Live. This is Brenda St. Louis, financial therapist and money coach. And I am super excited. This is kind of the first time I've ever done this, but my sister, my dear, sweet, amazing sister, Lisette, is here with me. And we are going to talk about family and money inheritances and not financial in our bank often, but other inheritance we get from our family or with regards to money and other elements that define who we are and how we interact with our life, our personality, what we find as important, and with our business. My sister is a singer, actor, artist, incredible creator. She has a group called the Bettys, and they have 3-part harmonies with amazing musicians and performs all over North America. And she's a voice actor in Toronto. She's one of the people that I admire enormously. She's got a little boy and a husband and this cute little, my beautiful nephew. And I remember when we were kids, I would always say to her, "Can you sing to me? Like if I'm on my deathbed, will you sing to me?" I remember being your biggest fan when you were a kid singing. Your voice is like magic for me.
Oh,
So
no.
welcome, Lisette.
Aw, thanks for having me, Brenda.
I know it's kind of strange talking about money in the as a sister kind of relationship, but we've navigated our relationships with money together. I don't think we've had too much secret taboo around it.
I don't think there's a lot of secrets between us as far as
True.
marriage.
Yeah. So when I wanted to share some of our beginning stories, like things that define who we are and how we relate with money. And when I'm working with a client, I'm often like, so what is your first memory with money, first of all? So we go through, I think I did this with you. You go through all your memories with money. And then the one that seems to be the little sticky one that kind of like created conflict sometimes in our lives are where we make our decisions around money and what they mean. And I have one story that I'll share, but do you remember? I know there's a couple of interesting stories of money in your relationship with dad, but would you be interested in sharing a story that you experienced with money?
Yeah, I was thinking about this when you had asked me a while ago. Both of my memories of two memories pop up, and both of them have to do with dad. Um, the first one pops up where we were all eating dinner together, and totally unsolicited, dad said, "The best person with money that knows how to handle money in this family is Lisette." And I was like, "What?" I was the youngest. I was like young, very young. Maybe I had just gotten my first job. I don't like, how did I establish that I'm good with money? But I remember being very proud that I was chosen by dad. And then that was one memory. And I don't claim to be very good with money, by the way. I
Well,
don't know how.
I want to reflect some things that I've witnessed around that show up around that, but continue. I'd be interested.
Well, the other memory that I remember that pops up is that I remember going to the Corn Fest with a friend of mine, and dad gave me $6 to spend at the Corn Fest. And the Corn Fest is a festival that, as you know, it was every year. It was on our street, and it was a weekend long. It was about, yeah, from Friday to Sunday, which I always thought that it was like 2 weeks long for some. I haven't met, like, I remember it being so epic. It was so exciting when the Corn Fest came to town. But so he gave me $6, and we went, and I reluctantly kind of followed my friend who wanted to play game after game, which I thought was kind of a waste of money. And I was like, "Oh, but whatever, I'll just do it anyways." Okay. And then I blew my whole $6 wad. And I came back, and my dad asked me, did I buy anything? Or we had a discussion. I said, "Well, I spent it all." And he got so mad.
Huh.
And I remember I mean, in my memory, he was so mad. Maybe he wasn't that mad, but and I remember him saying, "Well, that's all you get. You're all done for the rest of the corn fest." And this is Friday. I'm like, I have no more money left for the rest of the corn fest. But mostly, I felt
Ah.
so guilty that I did that.
So his opinion really mattered to you.
Yeah, big
Yeah, it
time.
really defined. And same here, like his opinion was pretty, like his approval was cherished in our family for all three of us in a
Yes,
lot of
for
ways.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I like having that belief that you're good with money and then making a mistake and him being upset around it is part of it. But the interesting thing is, I remember when you got your student loans out, you got student loans for university, that and you worked at a coffee shop, you worked really hard, you were a hard worker. All three of us are very hard workers.
Yeah, for sure.
um and it was um time money equation, like the average you put in was the money you
Yes.
got. Like that was the framework that our whole family lived in,
Yeah.
right? There was
Well,
no,
yeah, he was a line worker, dad.
yeah, there was no entrepreneur passive leveraged income kind of talks. It was always, you work hard, you make a good living. It's really like,
Exactly.
it's fair.
Yeah.
We never really had relationships with people that won the lottery or had big inheritance. Like, that was never the foundation of what I grew up with anyway.
Yeah.
But you took that money that you got from the government and you invested it and then went to school. You didn't use it, you invested it.
I did. Yeah. I was like, they gave me too much. What should I do? Should I give it back? And I remember that. And then I paid it off the next year, the whole
Yeah.
debt.
Mm-hmm. And then that money was being invested, which is like, I think what's unusual for us, which I think a lot of kids didn't get, is mom and dad had us go sit with the Elsie, our financial planner, to talk about the time value of money. So like the longer you keep it in, the more it'll grow. And we all knew this, although you and I both took it all out at some point,
No.
Yeah. So there's what you're being taught, and it's then your personality of who you are in the world. So you said you don't feel like you're good with money now. Is that true, or are we just in difficult times right now?
Well, I think I said that just because I don't want to come off as like some sort of, you know, expert, which I'm not. But I mean, yeah, no, we are in through difficult times right now for sure, especially for artists, especially for musicians. I mean, like, yeah, half my career has been decimated.
Yeah.
Totally been like relying on the government big time, and all the anxiety around that, especially now that CERB has like run out, and I don't know the scenario, what's happening next with people like us, but it definitely had a few dark days there.
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah.
like where your self-worth is really put into focus, especially because we have associated, well, I think I have associated my self-worth with my income,
Yeah.
because we've decided to make who we are a means of revenue, like or
Right.
who what
Selling
we
your
do. So
talent. Like you're selling your talent, like
selling
who
my talent.
you are. You are the product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is it's there's a lot of tied feelings around that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you run a company and you employ the other musicians, like you're in charge of it. So it's not just you're selling, you're actually selling, you're supporting other people too.
Yeah, including my
Right.
husband.
Yeah. Who is an amazing drummer, by the way.
Yeah.
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 I have a first story, an impactful story. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when Lisette and I and my brother Dan grew up in a pear orchard. And so every year there's tons of pears and a lot of them just rotted on the ground. Dad would pick them up and throw them in the compost. But when people would come over and they would pick them, we canned pears. We made pear wine, pear jam. I can't eat pears anymore, by the way. I can't stand pears. I
Yeah.
think I overdosed.
I love
No.
them.
Oh, so I had this idea that we'd fill the wheelbarrow up with pears and have those little plastic bags and go through the neighborhood and knock on people's doors and say if they wanted any pears, and they'd give us money and we'd do it. And I did it with three of my other friends, and we made $20.
Sorry.
That's okay. We made $20. And so I gave everyone $5. And then we went back to the house and I was so proud. We all got $5. We ended up going to the corner store and bought candy. And it was like, wow, we can make money. And I think this was my first kind of entrepreneurial kind of idea of being, and I think I've been an entrepreneur.
Fair.
I'm so fair too. I never think about, anyway, so I'm at dinner and I'm sitting at the table and I'm just beaming. I can't wait to tell Dad what happened. And I said, yeah, we got $20. And he goes, well, where's the money? And I'm like, oh, everyone got $5 and we went down to Joe's and bought some candy and stuff. What do you mean? You only got $5? Those are your pears and you should have got a bigger cut. And I was like, ooh. So like all the messages I got is I'm a bad business person. I am not good with money. I'm like irresponsible and all of that stuff. And that led with who I was in relation to money, because as being dyslexic, I was told I'm not good with math. So therefore I wouldn't be good with accounting, right? Just because I reverse numbers doesn't mean that I can't add and subtract. But for some reason I thought, like, don't put me in charge of numbers, I will screw it up. Now look at me. But the message was that I wasn't good in business. So anytime I would start a business, I'd had to do it in secret. Like I never told people about my successes, and like I never shared my struggles. It was like I was this island. I had to do it all by myself.
Silo.
Yeah. But the fair thing, I mean, fair is huge in our family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's so interesting.
How so?
No, I'm just the whole, how we lodge these points of view into how we carry on in the world. These
True.
small memories that are big.
And I mean, you being a mom too, it's like, I think as we start to explore and unpack our relationship with money, especially when I'm working with clients that have kids, they're like, well, I want to teach my kid financial literacy. I want to teach all of that kind of stuff. And what I often say to people is, you need to have your relationship with money healthy before you can teach anyone, because we lead by example. You know, your kid's going to pick up all kinds of stuff that's just subtle that you don't even say. So cleaning up your own interaction with money is important as a parent.
Yeah. And like, you know what I think, another thing that we were brought up in was the patriarch being the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And that's, I hadn't realized, or I hadn't realized how much that sunk in. You know, until I was like faced with, you know, okay, now I'm making more money. Am I comfortable with being the breadwinner? And like, there are these big questions where I'm like, why wouldn't I be comfortable being the breadwinner?
Yeah.
There's no reason why I wouldn't be comfortable, but it's like, why? It's like, it's in there. It's like hard wiring. What's soft? It's software, but
It's software. But it's also, you get told that as women in particular, not just from our family unit, but in society as well. You know,
yeah.
and I think being the woman being the breadwinner is, it can feel daunting, it could feel overwhelming. It's like you want to be taken care of and all of that stuff. So there's those stories. But also on the other side, as a guy, that it's kind of demasculating if you're not, right? Because of the society we live in.
Yeah.
You know, you're not, your value is connected to how much money you bring into the world. So it, on both sides, I think it could be problematic.
It's loaded.
Mm-hmm.
It is so loaded, man. Money is so loaded.
It's true. And the way that we deal with it sometimes doesn't make logical sense. But when you really look at it, it makes absolute emotional sense.
Yeah.
and exploring money is an inside job. You have to look at it. You got to look at all the layers of it. It's not just how much money you have in the bank.
No, that's very true. But
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny because like I just finished a project management certificate course, and I have no desire to get a job in this field. And a lot of it has to do with I don't want to make money this way.
What way?
Like I feel like I don't want to make money. There's maybe I'll prove myself wrong somewhere down along the line, hopefully, because I'd love to make more money. But it's like the way dad has made money, the way a lot of people make money, where they don't associate themselves with their job really,
Mm,
where it's just like, yeah, we just go ahead and we do the work and then we get money. But you spend a lot of your day doing that. It's a
right.
lot of your life doing that. So it's like, why? I don't know. I'm like looking at jobs. I'm like just so reluctant. I send out my resume, but I'm like, I'm hoping they don't call me.
Well, it's interesting because we'll do it out of necessity. Those jobs are often for our type of person. Like you are an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. Dan, our brother, is not so much, but mom and dad aren't. So it's like a different mindset of like, you have to be passionate about what you do, you
Yeah.
know?
And
And
not everybody has to be.
I mean, I have friends that are like, I just want a job that gives me a paycheck so I can play and live
Yeah.
my life, you
Yeah.
know? Where I don't get treated abusively or inappropriately or anything like that, but I just clock in and I clock out and I don't take my work home with me. And I'm like, wow, I think I'd die.
I know. And at one point I feel like, oh, that seems so relaxing.
Yeah.
You just like, but at the other, like, you're spending a lot of your day doing that. You're spending
Yeah.
a lot of your life doing that. But people can compartmentalize, where it doesn't matter for them. They can be themselves in anything they do.
And they can like what they're doing. Like I have a friend, she works in dialysis and all she does is the admin at the front desk. And she says she sees people for 10, 15 years come in and get dialysis done. She has relationships with them. They share about their family. They do. And she's just taking intake and
Yeah.
she's got a great pension. She's got all that stuff. And she loves her job. She's been doing it for 15 years. And it's just like pushing paper a lot of times, but with the same people. And I'm like, well, that can be gratifying in a lot of different ways too for someone.
Yeah. Like I would love to have that scenario, to be honest. Like maybe I should just like hope they call me back for these project manager jobs. I don't know.
Well, I mean, sometimes saying no is opens the door for something even better to show up. Sometimes saying yes and stepping into it allows you to meet the right people to move into a next space. So it's more of a gut thing, right? Like really tap into seeing, if I say yes to this, would my life expand?
Yeah,
If,
it is a gut feeling. You're right. And I just have not felt that gut feeling. I've just been feeling really against the grain. I'm like, I don't, it's not worth my time.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty a courageous thing to do in these hard times too, right now, to say no to those opportunities. But I don't know. Like I think sometimes we have to lead with our gut. We can't always lead with our scarcity or lack or separation.
Yeah, I hear you.
Mhm.
I hear you for sure.
Well, sis, this has been awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you for being here and just sharing the space of family together.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yeah, it was great to share this space and share our stories with the world. All right. Well, you take care, and everyone there in Facebook land, thank you so much for listening this far, and stay tuned. I will be back.
All right. Thanks, Brenna. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.